I think financial is not the only reason. Obviously, everyone wants to make money, but I think for me, it's more of a learning because new technologies, new ideas, young, bright startups coming your way, bringing path-breaking, technologies and implement implications of the same is a huge impact. So I think that learning, that excitement, that variety, that you know genuine improvisation of various products and services that we have is something that's very exciting because the world is changing fast. Technology is the core of that change, and I think if I'm not part of that journey, I will miss out on something. It will be a very passive entrepreneurial journey. So it's very important that I stay engaged. The only way to stay engaged, obviously, I can't go back to college and learn technology because technology is fast changing. But the best thing that I do is to invest, to get the products and the services market ready, to help them scale up from zero to one. And I think that's what's most exciting about it. Obviously, making money alongside, being cash flow positive always, and continuing to invest more and more the more you make is also equally exciting. But I think it's the learning, the knowledge, the exciting innovations that excite me much more than the financial aspect of it. See, I think every startup that I invest in um, has to make sense to me. Some startups don't make sense to others. Some ideas don't make sense to others, but I still go ahead with it because I like the idea, I like the team, I like the challenge that the team is ready to take on, and I think that's what's very exciting. So one of the ideas that came to me with a young team wanting to do something with social media in restaurants, bars, clubs, and interacting with each other when you don't know anyone, sitting at various tables at cafes or bars or restaurants, etc. And I think they started with an IoT device where they will be capturing who's coming in, getting the demographics of the people entering the club bar and sharing it with the like-minded people. And gradually they changed from the IoT device to a social media app. And I think both of them have grown exceedingly well, have scaled up to the top 10 on the global app level also. And I think they're continuing to scale up pretty fast. And that's what's exciting, and that's what's been very, very exciting. When people thought that going into an IoT device with or a social media kind of an interaction app or followers, etc., would not work, and it's not easy to scale up. But I think that's something that everyone defied, and I think that they have really proved themselves and continue to scale up. The app is called Ohai, and I think they're going from scale to scale, and they're doing very well. So life is very, every startup journey is very uncertain, and technology is so fast moving. New things come up. Some technologies become not required by the people or the consumer. So it's very, very difficult to judge what's going to work, what's not going to work. You do the best that you think is right. But actually, I've seen startups that I have invested in that scaled up, that I exited, and then they died after that. I have seen startups that I have invested in that were not able to raise a second or third round, and they died. So and because competition came in. I mean, when Uber came into India and Ola was just starting, the auto rickshaws and the rickshaws was a natural progression. We thought it would be a great thing to go down, backward integration. So when Uber goes to auto rickshaws or whatever, they can probably acquire. But we were not able to scale up because it's not something that's going to work. So back 10 years ago, while Uber was spending or burning a lot of money, Ola came in, started to do the same thing. Our auto rickshaw app did not work from in cities like Chandigarh, Jaipur, tier two cities is where we started. So sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. Sometimes they work for you and you have exited, and then they don't work for the follow-on round because technology changes. Big technology companies come into something, or people don't need something. So it's very, very, very dynamic, very unpredictable. It's very important that you stay on top of things and continue to pivot because that's what's required. So I'll tell you, I get 8 to 10 pitches a day. Out of that, one or two pitches get my response, and I get them on an email. Out of 10 emails that I get in a week or 10 days, I will then do maybe a Zoom call or a video call with just two or three. So the filtering process is very tight. It's very difficult, and when we see pitches, we have to be quickly decide one way or the other, see if there's a potential. But once those filtered pitches come to us at a video conferencing level, and in about a month or so, we see that out of four or five that have happened, we see potential in one possibly. So other than their ability to for the technology or the process of what they're doing, I also see how strong they are, how tenacious they are, because it's very important. The journey of a startup at an early stage is very, very difficult. A very single digit out of 100 will survive. Competition will be tough. Raising money is not easy these days. So I judge them, I give them a long rope, I make sure that they're strong enough, I make sure that they can handle stress, I make sure that they can handle pressure, and then also perform under pressure. So it's a very, very important quality that these startups needs to have, because in addition to technology, ability to scale, ability to do teamwork, leadership, etc., etc., it's very important that they have very strong personalities, because not always will you see that many startups will survive because they succumb under pressure of competition, succumb under pressure of having no money, succumb under pressure because they cannot scale up, succumb under pressure because they cannot handle the team. It's very important that they are strong-willed, firm, tenacious people, and that's what I judge them post that scrutiny. I think it's very important, and I tell all my startups that I invest in or not invest in. Falling in love with the product or service that you're doing is natural. Getting emotional about the success of the business that you're doing is very natural. But you have to sit back, see the problem from a distance, get a third-party validation who is not emotionally attached. Do they see value in the product or service that you're doing? Do they see value in what you're trying to do? Do they see this problem actually a problem and something that needs to be solved? If you get validation from someone who's not related, it's very important. So when I'm teaching this to my startups or to entrepreneurs, when I'm talking to them, whether I invest in them or not, I make sure that as an investor, I don't get emotionally involved. So I can give many examples. There are sectors that I've burnt my hands in. So simple bias is, oh yeah, this will not scale up. This is needs too much money. It's not easy to penetrate rural India. But when something comes in that domain, I still give that opportunity or that idea a chance. I don't let my biases judge that startup against what I think, and I really give it a full view. I think of it from different angles. I look at it from different problems. I call up. So if it's a logistics-based startup, rural India, I will call up my transport friends. If it's something to do with e-commerce, so basically seeking opinions. How is the market? Will it work? Will it not work? Is something very, very critical or important. And I think sitting back, looking back, not getting emotionally involved in favor of or against are two very, very important things as an investor, because if you get emotionally involved, sooner or later you will make mistakes. And I think it's a bad decision when you are making for a business. I think emotions are for you as a person. You would have to be involved, you have to be passionate, but those emotions should not ruin the business or the idea or the startup, because it's very, very important that you stay emotionally detached but passionately involved. Difficult thing to do, but you got to master that, because the journey is long. It's not a 1 year, 2 year journey. You really have to balance your emotions and passion with what is practically possible, what is pragmatic, what is workable, what will make business sense, what will make money for you and for the investors. So all of this has to be balanced absolutely very well. And that's something else that I look at startups. Are they able to do that or not? Or they are emotionally involved. So sometimes I actually criticize what they're doing. Sometimes I criticize the sector that they're in to see what their responses are, what their reactions are. It's very important to judge them on psychologically, because it's the passion, the right amount of passion, the right amount of logic and balance is also required. So I think it's a balance that we all have to take as an investor, as a startup. So it's very important that we steer clear of any emotional judgment that we might make one way or the other. It's very subjective. It varies from sector to sector. Sometimes certain sectors are, there because they're quick money. They will make money. They're easy. You're co-investing with many people. Sometimes you see the potential and you really want to help in this. So if it's a sustainable development or an ESG thing, you feel for the environment. You see if this can work. Maybe we will be able to help save the environment or the earth or the world, or make it a better place. So it depends on what it is and what catches your attention, or what clicks at that point of time, because we're also, our views and opinions are always ever changing. So it's very important that it continues to change, because the world is changing. The startup ecosystem is very dynamic, so you have to be very, very quick and agile on what needs to be done. My approach is very, very simple. Obviously, once the conversation happens, uh, me and my team judge them with different parameters, different um, uh, criteria, which makes business sense and logical sense. We look at the numbers, we look at the projections, we look at the valuations. But in the journey of all of this, it's very important that you continue to evaluate the founders or the co-founders. It's very important that they continue to um, show that they are the right kind of people. They have the potential to scale up. They have the potential to deliver what they're promising. They are the right team, and they would balance your opinions and suggestions, and then make a wise decision. And there is something that you can also play a role in hand-holding them and taking them from 0 to 1. So I think it's multiple things happening in this 2 to 3 month journey or a cycle. And I think it's all of this happens very, very seamlessly, unknowingly. There are lots of red flags that might pop up. So while, if everything goes on very well, if everything is smooth, we continue to invest. If a red flag pops up, if there is a behavioral change, or if there's a numbers that don't match up, if there is a compliance that is missing, then obviously we go deeper into it, and then we start to double check and do everything. But it's basically multi-dimensional. It's not a single dimension. We look at multiple aspects of the co-founders and the team, of the product and the service and the ecosystem that they are serving. So it's lots of things at play at the same time, and it's really, really you need a lot of experience, not only in the startup ecosystem, but in many, many certain domains which are tech, very deep tech or tech, because you really need to understand what's going on in those sectors across the world. So it's a lot of things that we're looking at. It's lots of side views that we do. We go deeper and deeper if we are investing, and that's what makes us decide whether it's investable or not. Basic thing is, there's nothing wrong in failing. There's nothing wrong in not being successful. So long as there is logical reasoning on why you failed, so long as there is a learning that you have learned from that failure, so long as you're not going to repeat that learning, and you're using what not to do in this new startup and your ability, it's actually an added advantage, because A, you will not waste time and money and energy on doing something that you've already done. Two, you've acquired some knowledge, some experience, some sector specific insights that will help this new idea or new pivot or new startup. So failure is absolutely not a shortcoming at all. I think to me, having failed and learned from it is far more important than not having failed or having succeeded. So I think it's very, very uh, doesn't matter actually to me whether one has failed or not. So it's very, I mean, to me, I don't judge people on based upon their education, their college, the city that they're from, the failure that they might have had, the journey that they might have had. So long as they have the ability and the knowledge and the reason to be in that domain, I think that justifies my investment to a certain extent. uh, a lot goes inside an investor's mind because to top it all, it's obviously, will I get an exit? Will I make money? Will this succeed? Will this scale up 10x, 100x? That's always at the back of the mind. Also, as an investor, we have a responsibility, especially at an early stage. We are kind of nurturing and garnering these young, bright kids, which are coming in hordes and hordes. Thousands and thousands of these kids who are coming after many the startup ecosystem has now taken up. It's very important that you deal with them with the right kind of emotion. You have to be firm, honest, truthful, so that they don't waste their time. But you have to be logical and reasonable enough to tell them why. And it's very important that they understand that, because they are there not just to seek money or funding. They're also there to learn from what we have gained as an experience, so that they don't commit the same mistakes. So I think it's very important. Have to be very, very responsible. So I personally take care in dealing with early stage, idea stage startup, because these are very fragile co-founders who are going to be going through a journey which is not going to be easy. Sometimes we do ask very difficult questions, challenging questions. We are brutal in criticizing that what might work, what might not work. But that's just for the benefit of the startup, because we do feel that something is not worth wasting the time or spending the time. So we have to be honest so that these kids don't waste and get hurt later. It's very, very important. So we do that. So it's a very, very responsibility that we have to cater to also, in addition to making sure that we make money, the startups deliver. If other people are co-investing with you, they don't get cheated. So all of that is a very, very important aspect of our journey.